Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala, and I come to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my husband, 2 horses that I adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wildhorse Adoption Program, and 2 kitties we adopted from the local animal shelter. Information about these adoption programs will be in the show notes for every episode. The purpose of this podcast is to share real-life stories that hopefully are relatable to other crafters who might be interested in horses. The format of this podcast starts with a walk to the barn to feed the horses, catch up on the week, share my knitting projects, and other interests like bicycling or hiking. I also talk about vegetable gardening and cooking. I hope you bring your favorite beverage and a fun, crafty project to work on. Enjoy! Good morning, friends. Welcome back to a regular episode. I think this might be episode 212. I'm not sure. I'm using my GoPro again because while I was on vacation last week, I figured out how to edit on my computer. And if you saw my video about Odin, you will have seen that. I'm also showing how dry it is there. See, usually our lawn doesn't have the good sense to dye in the summer, but it has been so dry. The good news is that we do have rain in the forecast this weekend. I hope it comes true, and I hope that fall is really upon us. So, back to what I was talking about. First, we have to stop at the pump house and turn on the water to the barn. Vacation in Wisconsin and learning how to use my new computer. Oh, look, here's a deer. Hello, deer. Probably eating all the apples that are on the ground. We have Gravensteins, and they have been absolutely fabulous. Unfortunately, I did not do I forgot what the little worm is. I know there's like the cottle moth, and then there's another worm that invades them that make the apples unappetizing. So next year I'll set up the traps. I am going off on a lot of tangents and not talking about vacation to Wisconsin, which was awesome. And back to what I was talking about, figuring out how to use my Mac computer to edit videos was kind of a revelation. It took me a couple hours to edit the video of Odin, where I was showing the beginning of his rehab and the end of his rehab. And I managed to get that video from, I don't know, it was at least 45 minutes. Down to about 40 minutes. No, down to less than 8 minutes. Wow, I have a lot of things on my mind. So that was good. And I did that kind of in preparation for the vet visit, which the vet came on Wednesday. I'll talk about that later and what's the plan moving forward. Had a great time on my vacation. I got a fair amount of knitting done. I have one finished object to share with you. The previous episode, I had a whole bunch of cast-ons, and one of those projects I finished. So, I'll show you those later. It's nice to have my knitting mojo back. Saw Bragi. Oh, there he is. There he is. In the weeds there. There's Odin. So I am going to get to feeding, and I will catch up with you in a little bit. Hey friends, welcome to the knitting portion of this episode. Forgot to mention the date today. It is Friday, August 21st in 2026. And let's start with the way that we always start. What am I wearing? I am wearing the Lola top. This is a pattern. It's a knit pattern by Vakika or Veronica Lindberg. And it's just a really nice full coverage tank. This is the second one that I've made. I made this last year on the trip to Wisconsin. I'm also wearing socks and slippers, which is completely unnecessary because it's very warm up here in this room, even though it's, what time is it? It's 7:37 a.m. It does cool down downstairs at night, which is great. And the sun is at an angle here in the Pacific Northwest, so that it only gets hot toward the end of the day, and then the sun is starting to set, you know, instead of in the northwest where it does in the height of summer, it's more, I would say, due west at this point. I think I'm thinking ahead to September when we are at the autumn equinox and where the sun set. I know in the winter it sets in the southwest. So just a little factoids about the Pacific Northwest and the light here and the seasons that change. In August, we lose about 90 minutes of daylight. So our height of daylight here is from about May through July, and then we start losing it quite a bit, quite noticeably. And it does feel very fall-like here now. Temperatures overnight, or right now, we've had a little bit of a warm stretch. So temperatures overnight are in the 50s, which is pretty typical. I prefer it down in the 40s. So anyway, let's talk about knitting, shall we? And then we'll talk about the rest of the kind of life stuff, things I alluded to. So here's this finished object. So this hat, it's a nice wool hat. It was super easy. So I started this hat initially at the Fiber Fusion Northwest. I took a color work class. This is all out of Scrapyard. I think mostly worsted weight, but this light color could be a bulky or Aran weight. This is where I learned the 2-color cast on, which is really nice. I'll show you the pretty side, not the start side. So that's fun to add a pop of color there, and you don't have to measure out yarn for a long tail cast on. Since you have 2 strands, you just start. Some people start with a slip knot. I don't. I do a wrap, and then the pop of color goes on your thumb, and I guess the working yarn goes on your finger, and you just cast on that way. That's why you don't have to do the long tail cast on. So the teacher of this course was Ellis. Linda or Lisa? Let me see. Lisa Ellis. And with that class, we got several patterns. I don't know that there's actually a picture of this one. But you saw what it looks like because I knit it. It could be the Starry Night hat and cowl, although this is black and white, so it'd be really hard to tell. She also gave us a Peruvian ear flap hat, which I may try it at some point. I have plenty of scrap yarn left over, so I may try it. But if you like to knit colorwork hats and cowls, and there's also another pattern that she has that's it's a winter trio, so it's a hat, mitts, and socks. And I may do this as well. The socks at least are out of fingering weight. So really fun. Her pattern was super easy to follow. And I think I'm going to add this to my collection and give one of my other hats away. That is my plan. I still need to take a picture of it and post it on Ravelry. I am not posting on social media. I'm hardly looking at social media at all anymore. So just in case you have tried to look me up on Instagram, because my Instagram address is in my show notes, I'm just not really doing anything there. So, shall we get on with the whips? Blanket. So this is a 100-acre wood blanket in a bag my mom made me. I love this fabric, of course, because it has horses. Very simple drawstring bag. And I have knit a few squares since I last showed it. So let me get the knitting needle out that doesn't need to be there. And I don't have a progress keeper, so I kind of think I was on this pink square, which was part of some socks I was knitting. I don't recall specifically what this is from. This is a row 1 mini when I was getting their minis, and this purple is also a scrap. So this is where I am with this. I'm on row 5. My goal is 25 rows, then it'll be a 25 by 25. And this is all from minis and scraps. And currently I am on a yellow piece. So, and it's super fun. I put together there's still quite a bit left of this. These squares only take like 3 grams. This, again, 100-acre wood blanket by K.F. Jones. I believe that pattern is available on Ravelry. I'm using size 2.75 millimeter needles, and these are Addy Flexi Flips. So they come in a set of 3, and they're very handy for knitting socks. I just don't typically knit socks in that size of needle, except when I'm doing color work socks. But right now they are occupied with this blanket. What else do I have going on? I don't have my notes in front of me today, so bear with me, please. This is another bag made by my mom. I love the garlic print. I grow my own garlic, and this was a new cast on last week, and this is it's a pattern, it's a shawl, and it's a pattern by Rebecca Clow. And it is called the Dafty Days shawl. So once I did the garter tab and got going, I'm doing the striped version. The pattern's really easy to memorize. So this is where I am. So I've made quite a bit of progress on it. This is all out of yarn that is repurposed yarn from a circular cowl, like a tube cowl, that I didn't particularly like, and it's going to be a great shawl. So I love these colors. My sister said it looked like watermelon colors, which I agree with her, even though I was thinking this was more kind of fall colors, with the main color being this kind of rust color. But you know, it is have reflections of watermelon. So really fun. Size US size 3 needles, which are a 3.25 millimeter needle, and these are Addy needles. So my favorites are Chowgu red lace, but I also like Addy needles a lot. And then this project, I think I finally come to terms with, is in a bag made by my husband on his industrial sewing machine. It's faux leather, which is why it's falling apart here. This part is actually leather. This is a belt that his mom gave him when he was in high school. So it's a good place to memorialize, I guess. This pattern is out of this book, Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn. I use this book a lot. I've knit several. I've knit this one at least twice, and this project is now this 3rd one, although I'm not doing color work. I'm just using the stitch counts for the raglan. And then this one is the Bright Axis tee that I have also knit. And then what this project was meant to be was the sock arms cardigan. But alas, a tale of woe. So I'm using Knit Picks gloss, and I bought the yarn quite a few years apart, so the colorways were different and it was really obvious. And it's very difficult to knit a cardigan when you have two different colors of yarn because you are knitting back and forth. At least that was my experience. You could do it 2 rows at a time, but I think it would make it look stripy. So I have been doing helical knitting, so alternating the skeins. And the plan is, I'll see if this works. I realized the other day that the sleeve shape is from the cardigan and it has a shaped sleeve. So I don't know if it's going to fit or if I'm going to need to rip back, or if I just save these sleeves for a true sock arms cardigan and just knit this as a nice light blue raglan tee, which I may do. So I'm still working on the yoke. It's circular yoke. I have about 20 more rows before I divide for the sleeves. The colorway is called Clarity. It's a Knit Picks. Is it gloss? I think it's gloss. It is. Fingering weight yarn. So we'll see. More to come on this. I'll let you know. Well, actually what I will probably do is knit the body. I do have some leftover yarn from the sleeves, so I could just do the sleeves in this little bit of self-striping yarn, which will be mostly the ribbing. So that's kind of my plan for now. Which I guess I didn't say one way or another. It's kind of more of I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Those are the knitting projects that I have for today. If you are here just for the crafty stuff, thanks for coming. If you are working on your crafty thing and just want to listen to the rest of, I have 2 major topics I want to talk about. One is some books I'm reading which have influenced me a lot in managing my own health. I had a big birthday this year. Well, and the second topic I want to talk about is Odin, the results of the vet visit. So here would be a good point to leave if you are done with the crafty part of it. If you want to stay and listen, I'm happy to keep on chatting to think about things that are important to me. I should also talk about Wisconsin. So Wisconsin was really great. It's warm there still, but it's like pleasant warm. The high temperatures were in the 80s. I left ridiculously early on Wednesday morning. I think I caught the 4:30 bus down to 4:30 a.m. bus from over here, and took it down to the Linwood City Center, where I caught light rail to the airport, and got to the airport in plenty of time. Security at SeaTac was surprisingly fast, even though I just go through general screening. Got to the gate and waited to get on the plane. I think the flight was, now it's leaving at 4:30 in the morning. For one thing, you forget your sunglasses because it's dark out. The second thing is that because it takes a long time to get there, and then you need to get there a while in advance. You know what I'm talking about. Time is a little bit of a blur. Let's just pick 9 a.m. as the flight time. So flight went smooth, seems to me. got to the airport in Minneapolis at around 1:30. My mom and her husband came to pick me up, which was very generous because it is at least a 90-minute drive from where they live. They came to get me, which was great. Went back, had dinner at a really nice place in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. So if any of you live in Wisconsin or near Eau Claire, there's a place called Bijou Bistro, and it's just a very small restaurant, just like 10 tables, and very chef curated menu. So my mom is gluten-free and meat-free and mostly dairy-free. I am mostly meat-free. I do eat gluten, and I am really trying to cut back on dairy, and I'll talk about why later. So the chef accommodated our diets, and it was really good. So highly recommend that restaurant. The next day, my mom and I spent together. I don't remember if I know we had to run a couple errands, which was fine. My sister came over that night, and we had dinner together. She had to work on Friday, so I didn't go back with her. And and honestly, I don't really remember how we spent the day. I know one of the days I worked on figured out how to edit on my new Mac computer. And then on Friday afternoon, my sister's husband came down to get me. And we went back, we took back roads back up to where my sister lives. It's about, I would say, 45 minutes to an hour away. My sister and her husband live in a very rural area, very small town in the northwest part of Wisconsin. So that was really great. Then we got to their house, and we were trying to decide whether or not we wanted to go to another place and listen to music. I was really tired, of course, from traveling, and it takes me a long time to figure out how to go to sleep. So I was kind of indifferent about it. But my sister, because she can be a bit of a cheerleader about things, and I think her husband was kind of like, whatever. And also the name of the band, we were like, do we want to see this? The name of the band is from Minneapolis. The band is from Minneapolis, and the name of it is called the Pistol Whippin' Party Penguins. So we were a little cautious about it, or a little skeptical, but we decided to go. My sister's like, let's just go. The opening band's supposed to be great. It's, I don't even remember their name, but they're a bluegrass band. And she said, we can at least just see them, and if we don't like the main band, we can just leave. Okay, good plan. So we went, and the opening band was awesome. I do have some video clips from that I will share. If I can combine my GoPro footage with my iPhone footage, I think I can. I think I know how to do it. So that was super fun. So I've got some short clips of that I'll put at the end. And then the main band came on, and we were thrilled. It was very bluegrassy, so the name doesn't necessarily match what the name of the band is. So, but it was super fun. So they are on Spotify if you are interested in that. I've started following them on Spotify, and they're really great. It was so much fun. There was a lady, an older lady, which it's always hard to tell because, people age differently. But she was wearing a marijuana leaf dress, and I just loved her. She just danced the whole time. Didn't matter if anyone else was dancing, she was just dancing. I will post a picture of her as well. Marijuana is not legal in Wisconsin. It is in Minnesota, and it is on the West Coast. So, the notion that marijuana isn't legal is I'm just so used to it being legal that it's, I'm not a user. It's not necessary for me to say that, but I don't have a problem with people who do use it. I have my own vices, so I'm not going to judge someone else's vices unless they hurt someone else. So that was that was that day. And then Saturday we went back to my mom's because we had planned to do a craft day together, and it kind of got all messed up. We had planned to have lunch at a place my mom highly recommended that was kind of out in the country. I don't remember what it was called. Something about wine and cappuccino. That was in Elk Mound, Wisconsin. But there was highway construction that really, it's possible the business was open and we just couldn't figure out how to get there. But the road construction was happening right in front of their driveway. So we decided to go back to Eau Claire, and we had lunch at something called Market on the River. So it's an indoor marketplace, and there's different restaurants and stuff like that, kind of more takeout type. So there's a Asian restaurant, and I had a tofu banh mi, which is a Vietnamese sandwich that's very tasty, and it was super good with the tofu. Normally it's made with fish, I believe, but it was very good. And then we went back to, then we went for a walk in Chippewa Falls, Irvine Park, I think, which has kind of a zoo, a very small zoo, and that was really nice to see the animals. The most hilarious one was a hyena that was just sound asleep. I mean, it was like on its back with its paws in the air and its tongue hanging out, and you kind of wonder, is it still breathing? But yeah, you could see it was just really deep in its sleep. It reminded me of Herbert, our cat. When he sleeps on his back a lot and kind of all stretched out like that. And they also have buffalo there. No, sorry, bison, American bison. And they have like kind of a blondish colored bull. So all the calves are that color. So that was really fun. And then we said goodbye to Mom, went back to my sister's. And then Sunday it was really windy, so my sister and I had planned to do some paddle boarding, but it was super windy, and she tweaked her back somehow, and so we decided just to go for a walk instead. It seems to me we had a pretty quiet day on Sunday, although I feel like I'm missing out on part of what we did that day. I'm sure it'll come to me, but right now, honestly, I just don't remember. And then on Monday, I came back home. And how did I get back to the airport? My sister must have taken me to the airport. So I know what we did on Monday. We went back to the cities to spend time with my niece, my sister's oldest, who has been living in the cities for at least 5 years. And it was really great to see her. We saw her apartment that I hadn't seen before, so it was it's a very nice apartment. It's one of those older homes with a lot of wood and probably early 20th century home that's split into 2 apartments, and it's just a really neat apartment with lots of hardwood and lovely wood features, built-in bookshelves and stuff like that. So it was really nice. And then we went to lunch at a place when we went to another Asian restaurant, and I can't remember what I had, but it was delicious. I think it was a noodle bowl with tofu and vegetarian fish sauce, so very good. And then we went for a walk in a nearby park, and then my sister dropped off Madeline and then took me to the airport. And then so the flight back was a little bumpy, and it was cloudy all the way. So, and then by the time we got to Washington, it was very smoky. So landed around 7 p.m. and got on the light rail back north, where Randy met me at the light rail station, and it was really good to see him. So that was the trip to Wisconsin. What have I been, what do I listen to? What do I watch? I have been listening to a book. I don't know how I found this. I think I was Googling something about my diet because I was just struggling with some digestive issues and, you know, a lot of allergy symptoms. And it's just like, something's not right. So I Googled, I don't remember what the term was, and came across a YouTube channel called nutritionfacts.org that's ran by Dr. Michael Gregory. So it's a nonprofit organization, and Dr. Gregory has published several books, and one of them was How Not to Die. He's a medical doctor, educated at Tufts University in Boston, so highly credentialed. And the book starts out with, and I did it audiobook, so that's what I have been doing, like commuting or, you know, on the plane. And the book starts out with a story of when he was a kid and his grandmother had congestive heart failure, and she was sent home from the hospital at age 65 in a wheelchair to die because the medical community couldn't do any more for her. And this was back in the days when these sort of, like, I don't know, would you call them crazy hippie diets maybe? But it's when Nathan Pritikin got started. And I do remember him, and there was another, Dean Ornish, Dr. Dean Ornish, I think was another one around that time, that was advocating for very low fat and mostly plant-based, I think. So I was listening to this book, and it's a lot of great information about the leading causes of death in America, and a lot of it, and how it's diet related, and how pharmaceuticals don't really help. But what I will say about the punchline that got me hooked is that the grandmother somehow made her way to Nathan Pritikin's clinic, or I don't know what facility, in California from her place somewhere on the East Coast. And she rolled in on a wheelchair and came out, I don't know how many months later, out of a wheelchair, walking 10 miles a day. So this was pretty compelling evidence for Dr. Greger to pursue his medical degree and also look for nutrition. And you're probably aware that the medical establishment, education-wise, does not provide a lot of nutrition information. So, and he talks about that, but then he goes into, his book is organized into like the top 10 ways that Americans die. And it's, you know, heart disease, then he breaks that down, and it's brain diseases like strokes and Alzheimer's and diabetes, and, you know, I don't remember all of them. I'm actually listening to the book a second time, and he talks about just the way the different plants and plant-based diets is very productive and can reverse these conditions. I have to admit, the scariest disease for me is Parkinson's. I would say Alzheimer's and Parkinson's are the scariest diseases. It feels like we don't have a lot of control over either of those, but I think with the right diet, perhaps. I'm willing to give it a try. So I have been eating mostly plant-based, and I will say, you know, there's a couple times I fell off and I ate some dairy, and my digestive system was not happy. So I am slowly weaning myself off butter. That's the hardest part. Milk, not a problem. Ice cream, not a problem. I know I've kind of rejected those long ago. Cheese, I love cheese. Cheddar cheese in particular. I have been eating a lot less meat for quite a while now. I'll still eat bacon on weekends when Randy cooks, and when Randy cooks, we do eat some meat, although he's, you know, I'm hoping his diet improves as well. But when we eat out, I might eat a bean burger, you know, of some description, and he eats a beef burger typically. So we will see. But the book is called How Not to Die. He also has another one called How Not to Diet, which I also find interesting. And he approaches it, he approaches obesity from a disease perspective, a medical disease perspective. And then the next part of each book is sort of the how-to. The first part of each book is like the why, and all the evas supporting it. The second part of each book is the how. And he starts talking, and he breaks it down. I'm only just started part 2 of How Not to Diet. And he talks about inflammatory foods, which really surprised me. So I need to get through that part of it to be more informed. But I think a lot of it is, eat beans, eat nuts, eat your green leafy greens, eat your red vegetables and fruits, and so on. So, and herbs are really good for you too. So that's kind of where I'm at with this, and I'm finding it really easy. I have resources that I rely on. So if you have questions, if you're interested and have questions, feel free to contact me, either comment on this video, or I think I have my email in the show notes. Don't comment or don't contact me via Instagram, because I probably won't see it. So my camera battery is starting to go, so I need to hurry up. So let's talk about the other things. The other thing that was important to me was Odin's vet visit. I have to admit that the outcome of that was disappointing. I was hoping he was further along in his journey to soundness than he is. The vet I talked to, he still has soreness, grade 2, which isn't too bad, but he still protests when I ask him to do certain things. So that's important. So I'm not riding him. We are on a path to find out whether he has metabolic issues, which can cause pain in his front legs, which is where he is the most unsound. So the vet and he's a chunky guy. I thought he looked really good, but the vet gave him a body condition score of like a 7 to 8 out of 9, which I was a little shocked by that. And he should be more like a 4 or a 5. So he's got a lot of weight to lose, and depending on what the metabolic panel says, we have a fork in the road at that point. If it's metabolic, we can go in one direction. If it's not metabolic, we can pursue the lameness path. So that's what that's all about. I am going to end this video here. Actually, I want to say one more thing. So I went to work with Odin yesterday, Thursday. The vet appointment was on Wednesday. And normally when I go to work with Odin, he's very enthusiastic. He's like, hey, yeah, let's do something. But he was kind of questioning. He's like, are you going to do to me what we did yesterday? Because I really hated that. And so I had to tell him that no, we weren't going to do that. We were going to do some really easy things. And then I think he was skeptical the whole time. And I think he was sore, because normally I asked him to do a couple things that are normally he can accomplish, and they were hard for him. So, I recognize that, and what I am going to do with him today is just more body work type stuff that I'm learning. That's another project I'm taking on this fall. I'm hoping to start riding lessons in September. I don't know if I can afford it with continuing treatment with Odin. So we'll see. I may have to volunteer at the place instead. So now I'm going to tell you that Bragi has a lesson today, so I will report on that later. And that is it for this video. Stay tuned for the indie bits that include stuff, pictures and video from my trip to Wisconsin. Take care, everyone.
Not a dime in my pocket or care in the world, but I think we're gonna be alright. Dance around with